Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 6th of July and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis. So guys, in the today's video we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the entire newspaper in order to understand that which article will be important for the today's in the today's paper. Moreover guys, the explainer PDF that I will be using in the video to explain the articles could be downloaded from the Telegram channel. Now, in the page number one, first of all we can see that here basically the political articles etc have been mentioned. Basically it talks about the police which came from the Chhattisgarh to arrest one of a journalist, and then there was a kind of a standoff between the Delhi police and Raipur police that happened. Fine, nothing is important with respect to the UPSC examination. Then center to soften punitive steps in environmental cases. So guys, basically what has happened, the environment ministry has suggested this particular thing that see, under the Environment Protection Act, under the Air Act, under the Water Act, there are many of the offenses which contain the jail term. So a kind of a amendment is being proposed that for some simple violations jail should not be there, rather there could be a kind of a monetary fine that should be there. So just they have proposed that particular change and now they are inviting the suggestions from the public. Okay, so this is just one concept that is there. However, till the time that this particular thing will not be passed, okay, it will be uncertain. Now moving on. After that, in the city section, the civic polls, regional issues etc have been mentioned. So guys, see, you might be having the different edition, you might be having Chennai edition, Bengaluru edition. Okay, so these regional issues, advertisements etc are actually usually filled in these particular pages, not at all important for our examination. Rarely some important articles come in these pages from page 1 to the editorial section. However, if it will be there, I will take that also. Now coming to the editorial, Indian aviation needs a strong and the steady tailwind. We'll see this particular article, that what are the reforms into the aviation industry that are needed. Fine. Then guys, this particular article talks about that BJP should not feed the fake news ecosystem to score the political points. So how recently basically Mr. Rahul Gandhi's image was tried to be tarnished and all these things. So the political undertones are there in this particular article. BJP Congress rivalry, not important. Then guys, handcuffing a judicial tap. Okay, so this particular article talks about the handcuffing and recent judgment by the Karnataka High Court. We'll see this particular article. A matter of import. So guys, this particular article talks about the trade deficit of this particular month, which has been at the record number $25.6 billion trade deficit. Trade deficit guys, it is simply the difference between the import and export. See, so traditionally we import more, we export less, so the difference between the import and export is a trade deficit. So this is a trade deficit, okay, which is very much high. So guys, just basically it is giving the trend over the past few quarters, okay, over the that what has been the trajectory. Okay, now please no need to go in this particular article. Why? Because guys, these number will change every other day. Okay, and just think by the perspective of exam, this number will be going to be changed, so don't waste unnecessary energy here. Helping Sri Lanka more meaningfully, so we'll see this particular article. Way to control TB, we'll see this particular article also. Text and the context, relentless march of FPIs on the exit gate, this article will be taken. Status of the Belt and Road Initiative, we'll see that what is the state of investment in the South Asia. Then Bangalore, memoirs of a city. So basically these are the books, okay, which defines that how the Bangalore city has been growing. Now nothing is important with respect to the UPSC exam. Then guys, this particular page is filled with the political news and the regional basically disputes, crisis that says there. For UPSC, nothing is there into this entire page. Fine, just please avoid this particular thing. Then guys, further moving on, again the political issues are going on. Fine, casinos are more important for people. Congress, BJP, both are playing, alleging each other that they are not working for the development. Okay, so this is talking about the Prime Minister's address into the Hyderabad. Now this is a political article. For UPSC, substances not there. Then center asks states to boost the paddy sowing. Fine. So guys, basically recently it has been said that there is a kind of a sown area of the paddy has been reduced. Okay, so in order to maintain the food security, in order to maintain this particular balance, they have just suggested. Okay, then further moving on, Modi ji may meet amid busy diplomatic calendar. So it is talking about the meet. Fine. Then guys, further moving on. Now after that, Navy eyes get route to buy carrier based jets. Fine. however, with respect to exam, much importance is not there. Sweden, Finland signs a protocol to join NATO. So basically, guys, the Sweden and the Finland, both of these countries have traditionally not been the part of the NATO, and during even the Cold War, they have maintained their independence. Okay, neither they were on the side of USSR nor they were side onto the USA. But now, as the Russia has invaded the Ukraine, now the Sweden and the Finland, they also feel that there is a credible threat from the Russia, so they are they're trying to become the part of a NATO as a part of a safety net kind of a thing. Okay, China backs Parks in opposing G20 meets in the Kashmir. Okay, then further moving on, PMI is 11-year high, rupee falls at this particular level, and all these things. Okay, so all these are the basically kind of an evolving kind of a details, numbers, etc. has been given. Fine. Now you need to understand that on the business page, or in some papers it is called as the economy page, you don't need to see the corporate, you don't need to see the business trends, you need to just see the policy aspects that are there. Okay, fine. Then we have the sports page. Okay, so this is, guys, the overview of the entire newspaper today, and now let's take the relevant articles for our exam one by one in the detail. Now, when we start our class, every class I give you a GA quote which could be used in your either of the GS papers. So today, guys, we'll be taking the quote from the Desmond Tutu. So Desmond Tutu passed away recently. He says that do your little bit of good wherever you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. So, guys, Desmond Tutu has provided this particular thing, that don't judge your actions that how big an impact they can make, but make sure that your actions are good, even if they are small. And if everybody will do their small bits of good deeds, these small deeds will be the sufficient enough. They will bring justice in the world, they will bring peace in the world, they will bring harmony in the world. So whatever you can do, contribute in a positive way. So, guys, this particular thing could be used in our GS paper number 4. Okay, as well as it could be used in the essay. Okay, so please use this particular quote, and guys, I expect that every class I give you one quotation, you are using it and you are actually noting them down also. Now, taking up the first article. So, guys, let's first of all read that what this article is: the status of China's Belt and Road Initiative in South Asia. Now, this particular article we have taken from the text and the context page of the Hindu newspaper, and this particular article we will be using with respect to in the GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, policies of neighbors, interventions of neighbors in our neighborhood, and all these particular things. So GS paper number 2, international relation, international issues, this article will be used. Now, first of all, guys, basically why this particular article has come in the newspaper, you need to understand this thing. So recently what has happened in the G7 meet, the G7 countries, they have announced the PGII initiative. Now, under this PGII initiative, the G7 countries have announced that around $600 billion will be invested into the emerging countries in order to build the infrastructure there. So $600 billion they have suggested that they will invest. However, guys, this entire PGII issue, in the last week I have discussed into the detail. Okay, so if you so this particular thing has already been taken up. Now, guys, as this PGI initiative has been announced, it is being seen that it is actually a counter, it is a response to the China's Belt and Road initiative that is there. So, guys, in the today's article we'll analyze that what are the major projects under the BRI initiative in India's neighborhood, and how they might impact the Indian interest over the long period of time. Again, guys, I'm repeating, this PGI initiative already in the last week I have discussed in much detail. Important, if you have not seen it, please do see it. You will find this particular article in the timestamp. Now, so let's talk about this article. So basically, when we talk about the Belt and Road Initiative, this project was born in 2013. In 2013, Chinese president, during his visit to the Kazakhstan and Indonesia, indicated this particular thing, that when we talk about the countries of Asia, countries of Europe, particularly the Eastern Europe, as well as the country of Africa, there is the infrastructure deficit. infrastructure deficit. Now infrastructure deficit means that the infrastructure that they need and actual infrastructure, fine, there is a difference between that. And they said that now the China will be investing in these particular regions. China provided this thing that they will be coming out with the Silk Road economic belt and 21st century maritime Silk Road. So basically into the historical times there was a Silk Road that was going from China and it was connecting the Europe. So the China said that now again we will revive this particular project. So what will happen? Infrastructure projects will be developed throughout the Asia, Europe, okay, African countries, okay, and these infrastructure project will bring the growth within those countries. So basically there will be the two component. There will be the land component, that is the economic belt. This land component will have the creation of highways, railways, communication lanes, all these things. And maritime Silk Road, it will involve developing the ports, okay, across all the countries that will participate. China provided that we will be investing around $1 trillion in the partner countries by 2025. And as of now 60 countries they have got involved under the Belt and Road Initiative. In some country China is making port, in some country it is making road, in some country it is making highway, or all these kind of things. So 60 countries are now involved under the Belt and Road Initiative. And guys, if I talk about the money that has been invested by the China here, it is actually more than $1 trillion, around $1.3 trillion. Now as this Belt and Road Initiative is going on, the US as well as the developed countries, they basically say that actually it is the China's attempt of debt trap diplomacy. Now what is this word, debt trap diplomacy? It says that China gives the money to these countries at the interest rates, commercial interest rates, and China knows this particular thing in advance that these countries will not be able to pay back. So the predatory loans are being given by the China, and China in a long horizon has a kind of an aim that when they will not be able to pay back, their assets will be acquired. So this is the debt trap diplomacy that the China is running. They say that there is no transparency, there is no sustainability, there is no good governance in these Belt and Road Initiative, and this was the reason that they have announced this PGI initiative. And guys, in the past year, okay, if you are following the newspaper analysis regularly now, then you can connect these particular things. We have seen that the Build Back Better World Initiative, or B3W initiative, was also launched. The Global Gateway was also launched. The B3W was of US and the Global Gateway strategy was of the Europe. So why all these projects are coming? In order to counter the China. Fine. Now guys, when we talk about the China's Belt and Road Initiative's flagship projects in our neighborhoods, we are going to see them very briefly. So first of all, Pakistan. First of all, we'll see Pakistan. So guys, when we talk about the Pakistan, it is a very important partner of China under the Belt and Road Initiative. China describes its relation with the Pakistan. China says that the friendship of China and Pakistan is deeper than the oceans and higher than the mountains. It is sweeter than the honey. Okay, so these are the words that the China uses. So basically China is undertaking the project, that is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. This is a multi-million-dollar project. Under this particular project, China will develop the energy infrastructure, pipelines, transport infrastructure, railways, highways, communication lines will be established. Is it clear? Now basically guys, this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, China will connect its Xinjiang region, fine, to the Gwadar port. Now Gwadar port is in the Pakistan. So the Xinjiang will be connected till the Gwadar port. Now guys, why the Gwadar port will be developed and why the city of Gwadar will be developed? Because guys, this Gwadar, it is very strategically important. Why? Because it is very much near to the Iran, just 1 hour away from the Iran and just around 320 kilometers from the Oman. So basically guys, see, now this is a master plan. You need to understand, I will be going a little bit beyond of this article. Okay, this is not mentioned in this article, but understand this thing. So basically there is not only the economic dimension behind this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, there is a strategic dimension also. Number one, see, basically this particular project actually passes from the India's basically Kashmir. It passes from the Kashmir. It actually passes from the Pakistan occupied Kashmir that we have. Now Pakistan occupied Kashmir, it is India's territory. Pakistan has captured it illegally. Now the project will go from this particular region. So India has a issue that why you are taking the project from actually the territory which is Indian. Okay, so this is one issue. Secondly, guys, the China wants to develop this particular project for one more reason. Why? Because see, suppose okay, here there is a China. Now if China wants to connect with the West, it has to pass from the Indian Ocean. Now as there is the presence of India here into the Indian Ocean, okay, it might create some threats for the China. The China believes this thing. So basically, if this particular project is developed, fine, China can reach towards the Europe, can reach towards the Middle East by avoiding this route entirely. So this China Pakistan economic corridor is very much important, and China is investing a lot of money in this. Now this particular project was going on, but guys, now the Pakistani people, they are not entirely happy with this particular project. For example, in 2021, thousands of the citizens of the Gwadars, they have protested that actually even the basic amenities have not been created. They say that the Chinese, they are their deep sea trawlers, they are diminishing the fishes there, and the local people are not able to fish. Moreover, guys, there are also the protest that the Chinese, they have not developed the employment for the Pakistani people. Majority of the workers here are actually Chinese. Okay, so this is the status with respect to the China's involvement in Pakistan. Now the second, we come to the Sri Lanka. So guys, the Sri Lanka, it is also very much important for the China. Why? Because Sri Lanka's proximity with India is very much strategic. You can see that how much near the Sri Lanka is with the India. Now guys, the China has one policy, that is the string of pearls policy. Under this string of pearls policy, what China wants to do, China wants to entangle India from its infrastructure. Now in order to materialize its strings of pearl and in order to encapsulate India, Sri Lanka is very important, and in Sri Lanka China is bringing a lot of investment. Now guys, at the same time, India also knows that the China wants to have an upper hand into the Sri Lanka. India is also reciprocating. India is also ready to actually offer the support to Sri Lanka, and within the Sri Lanka there is a race of China as well in India. Both want to develop the infrastructure. Now guys, in this particular capacity, when we talk about the Belt and Road Initiative, okay, as well as India's investment. Okay, so ports as well as the cargo terminals are the area where they want to invest. Okay, so this is something going on. Now guys, last year there was one episode also that we have seen that India and Japan, they were jointly developing the East Container Terminal within the Sri Lanka. But this terminal, basically this contract was taken back from India and it was given to the China. Laterwards, India was compensated. In place of this East Container Terminal, the West Container Terminal WCT was actually given to the India. Now guys, as China is, now let's see first of all what are the major projects of China in the Sri Lanka. So the China is developing this Colombo International Container Terminal, Central Expressway. Okay, then there was also the Hambantota International Airport, and then other minor projects are there which China is developing in Sri Lanka. And guys, I just a few minutes back talked about the debt trap diplomacy of the China. Now I'll give you the live example of the debt trap diplomacy. Within the Sri Lanka, the Hambantota port, it is a very important port, a very strategically placed port it was there. Now the China offered the $1.4 billion to the Sri Lanka that we will develop this port of yours. Okay, and basically when the Sri Lanka was not able to pay back the money, this port was taken on the lease by the China for the 99 years. Okay, so this is the debt trap diplomacy that China wants to drive in the entire world. Then next comes the Bangladesh. So guys, after the Pakistan, the Bangladesh is the country where the China is investing a lot of money as a part of the BRI. So around $40 billion China is willing to invest in Bangladesh. Now guys, again Bangladesh is also the immediate neighbor of India, and India has a good relation with the Bangladesh also into the past. So India also countered the investments of the China by offering the $5 billion line of credit. Now India's effort of $5 billion might not be that big of a, because China's efforts will be around $40 billion, but still India is trying to catch up. Now guys, the major projects in the Bangladesh of the China are the China Bangladesh Friendship Bridge. special economic zones that China is developing, Karnfuli River Tunnel project, Chittagong port is being upgraded. Okay, fine. Then a rail line link is being developed between the Bangladesh and the China. Fine. Now after that comes the Maldives. So guys, within the Maldives much of investment of China is not there. Why? Because right now the present government in the Maldives, the Soli government, it is very much pro to the India, and they have an open policy of India first. Okay, but still China's investment in Maldives is there. That is the China Maldives Friendship Bridge, which is a $200 million bridge project. Okay, in Bangladesh, in now there is one more country, Afghanistan. Now you know that in Afghanistan stability is not there, so China had indicated that they will be coming out with some investments soon. So that is all guys about the footprint of the Belt and Road Initiative in our neighbors. So that is all about this article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. The relentless march of FPIs to the exit gate. Okay, now guys, this particular article talks about the recent outflow of the foreign portfolio investments that is going on. So here consolidatedly we will see this particular entire issue. Now guys, let's take this particular article. First of all, the utility in the exam, it will be important in GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, issues related to the Indian economy. Okay, now first of all, let's understand that what are these FPIs. What are these FPIs? So FPIs, it stands for the foreign portfolio investments or the foreign portfolio investors. Okay, now foreign portfolio investments, these or the investors are the people who are actually investing the fund outside their own country. Let's say there is a person named X in the US. He has some money and he wanted to invest this particular money in India. So this particular money that is coming in the India from a US person, this is the foreign portfolio investment, and this person is the foreign portfolio investor. Now these foreign portfolio investments, they come in equities, they comes in the shares, it comes into the bonds, it comes into the mutual funds. Okay, all the area they come. Now actually these people, these FPIs, they don't exert the management control over a company, they just invest to earn some return. Now right now what is happening, the FPIs, they are exiting the country. What it means? It means that in the past this particular foreign portfolio investments have come in India, now they are exiting the country. And guys, why this is important now? Because since 1993, this is the second biggest FPI exit that is happening in the India. After 1993, the first biggest exit that happened was in March 2022 when the lockdown was announced. At that point of a time, there were obviously the reasons, and now it is the second time that is the biggest FPI exit is there. Now, first of all, guys, let's understand that what are the reasons why the FPI is exiting from India. Number one reason is this, guys, that actually the the pandemic recovery has not been very much encouraging in India. They say that into the Indian economy the recovery is uneven, so therefore they are not very much optimistic with respect to India. Moreover, India had seen the successive waves of COVID-19. Okay, there was first of all the first wave that was there in 2020, then the second wave of Delta came, then the third wave of Omicron came. Okay, so because of that particular thing, they say that still the post pandemic recovery in India is not very much encouraging. They are not very hopeful from the Indian economy, so therefore they are taking their money back. Second reason is this, guys, the pent up demand in the other economies or into the worldwide countries, okay, is now coming. Now first of all, what is the pent up demand? Let's explain this particular concept. Guys, see, this was a person. Now when the pandemic was going on, when the economic crisis was going on, what happened? He stopped spending money on many other things that he was usually doing. Okay, for example, he stopped going on some trips. Okay, he stopped going out. Why? Because as economic crisis was going on, he was uncertain that whether I will be I might be save, whether I will be able to save my employment or not. Fine, if what will happen if I will exhaust my all the savings. So the people, they actually reduce their demands. Okay, and over the period of time there is a lot of pent up demand that is there. Now as the economic recovery is again coming, the normalization is coming into the world economies, this pent up demand that was there, now people are bringing them out. There is a kind of a sugar rush that is there in the people. Now they want to spend money, now they want to go and they want to watch all the movies, they want to dine at all the places, they want to go on to the trips, because from the past 2 years they were not able to come out with their demand. So a kind of a sugar rush is there. So in other countries there is a better growth prospects, so therefore the FPIs are exiting, because there is a pent up demand that is now coming, because the pandemic has now subsided, economic recovery is coming. Then the next thing is that, guys, see what happened recently. We know this thing that Russia invaded the Ukraine. Because the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, what happened, many of the critical exports that both of these countries were making, they got stopped. Because of this particular thing, supply into the world was got very much restricted, and because of the supply side bottlenecks that came, what happened, the inflation in the entire world is actually increasing. But in India the inflation is exceptionally high. Right now we see for the 5 years on a stretch, the inflation is above the RBI's level of 6%. Now because the inflation is there, what is happening, further the economic prospects of India are not very much positive. Because the inflation is there, it is also impacting the performance of rupee. So therefore now the investors, they want to go to a little bit stable country. Fine. Then guys, the consumption expenditure in India has also remained weak. So basically, see, when we talk about the GDP of any country, within the GDP of any country, the private final consumption expenditure. Okay, what is private final consumption expenditure? See, you, me, all we people, we are consuming certain products. Okay, so the consumption expenditure, the money that we are spending for the private consumption, that is the private final consumption expenditure. Now see, when the consumption expenditure will increase, when people will spend more money, okay, when expenditure will increase, obviously it will grow the economy. But in India the consumption expenditure has still been very much weak. Why it has been weak? Because guys, many reasons are there. First of all, you see this particular thing, in India 90% of the people are involved in the informal sector, and basically the pandemic has been very much a torturous for the informal sector. Many people have lost their jobs. Okay, obviously they cannot raise their aggregate demand. Fine. So the consumption expenditure has been weak, and consumption expenditure, if it will be weak, then the industry's performance will be less, and if industry's performance will be less, obviously the investors will not be able to make money. Then the next is, guys, the US Federal Reserve, which has recently raised their interest rates. Now, right now, what has happened, in nearly 30 years, the highest interest rate increase has been there in US. Steepest interest rate rise is there in the USA. So what has happened, if the interest rates in the USA have increased, if you invest money in the bond into the USA, okay, you will get better return. Moreover, US economy, though right now in USA also the inflation is going on, but USA's economy is stable. Fine. Moreover, the USA's currency, that is the dollar, it is also stable. So they want to go back to the US. This is something that is happening. Now guys, what is the problem if this FPI is going out from the country? So guys, this is having one particular problem, that India's forex reserves will decline. Why forex reserves will decline? Because see, when an investor came in India to invest the money, obviously he brought the dollars. At that point of a time, our forex reserves got increased. Okay, he brought the dollars. Now when he want to buy the shares, let's say, of an Indian company, he will convert the dollar into the rupee and buy that particular share. Now this particular person is going out. Obviously when he will cash his money, he will get the rupee. Now he will convert the rupee into the dollar, so he will take their dollars back. Now guys, as the demand of the dollar is going to get in, when the dollar's demand will increase, what will happen? Obviously the dollars have to be issued by the RBI from the foreign exchange reserve that they are already having. So what will happen? Our foreign exchange reserves, they will go down. Moreover, understand this particular thing, guys, that any currency's performance, any currency's value depend on two things, that is the demand and supply. If any currency's supply will increase, or if any country's demand will reduce, its price, its valuation will go down. On the other hand, if any currency's demand is increased, its price demand is increased, its valuation will go up. Now what is happening? Everybody wants a dollar. Why? Because they are taking back their money. So demand of dollar is going up. and they are, as they are demanding the dollar, what will happen? Dollar will appreciate in front of money, in front of rupee, sorry. Clear? So obviously it has certain problem. Rupee is right now, you might be knowing that it is trading at all time low. 1 rupee, $1 is equivalent to 79 rupees. Fine. So rupee is also depreciated. Now if rupee will get depreciated, there will be one problem. What will happen? Our imports will become even more expensive. Is it clear or not? So this is the economic crisis that is happening right now. I hope you understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, handcuffing, a judicial tap and the long arm of the law. So this particular article, guys, talks about the judgments given by the high court, such as the Karnataka High Court, Supreme Court, on the handcuffing of the people. Handcuffing. Okay, so where this particular article is going to be important, it is going to be important in GS paper number 2, criminal justice reforms. Criminal justice reforms, CJR, it is going to be important. Now let's discuss this particular article, what it talks about. So guys, recently what has happened, Karnataka High Court had given the directions against the handcuffing. Karnataka High Court has provided this particular thing, that you cannot handcuff a person in the normal circumstances. Handcuffing is only to be done in extreme circumstances. Now what are the extreme circumstances? If there is a fear that a person will harm himself or will harm another person, if there is a dreaded criminal which might be very much violent, then you can then only you can basically handcuff that particular person. Moreover, it has been said that if any case the cuffing is being done, then the reasons are needed to be recorded, and the reasons need to be justifiable. For let's say a police officer has handcuffed a person, he had to give a reason, that what were the reason 1 2 3 he handcuffed him. Okay, and absurd reasons could not be there. Further, guys, it has been said that if any arresting officer violates this particular provision, if he unnecessarily handcuffs a person, then the person or the petitioner could be eligible for compensation. Okay, the person who got handcuffed or aggrieved person can ask for the compensation, and the compensation has to be given by the government. Moreover, guys, in this particular direction, the judgment, Supreet Ishwar Divate versus State of Karnataka, it has also been provided that first of all the compensation is to be given by the government, but government, if wants, can reimburse that particular compensation from the delinquent police officer who arrested. From that compensation can be reimbursed. Then guys, now it has been said that actually when the people are handcuffed, so people are handcuffed usually on the 3 occasions. Occasion number 1, when an accused person is to be presented before the court. Secondly, when an under trial prisoner is being taken from the court to police station to court or jail that time, and when a person who is convicted is being transported from jail to the court. So basically, you don't need to make it complicated. Simply understand that an under trial person, an accused person, or a convicted person, whenever he is being taken from jail to court to jail, they are actually handcuffed. Now in this particular direction, guys, it has been provided even by the Supreme Court in the judgment of Prem Shankar Shukla, that only into the rare circumstances or only in the extreme circumstances the handcuffing will be there. Now guys, the Karnataka as well as the Supreme Court directives are therefore similar. Now this particular article says that there will be certain challenges that will be there. Now you need to understand that actually at many times the state has been failed to equip the police stations with the adequate police personnel. Sometimes why the handcuffing is being done? Handcuffing is not just a measure of torture. You suppose, let's take this particular thing, that suppose there will be the 3 police personnel that are needed to transport a accused person from the jail to the court. Now let's say if 3 people are needed, but if police personnel are less, let's say there is only 1 police personnel who is accompanying him. Now this person can overpower this 1 police personnel. Okay, so therefore the police personnel prefers them to handcuff. Why? The reason is simple, that there is no sufficient police force. Is it clear or not? There is no sufficient escort. Okay, so therefore they are doing this particular thing. Even National Crime Record Bureau has provided that in their report of Crime in India 2020, that there were 810 cases of prisoner escape from the police custody, 931 there below the before that particular year. So many people are actually escaping. They are overpowering the police officer. Why? Because sufficient number of police personnel are not accompanying them. So basically it has been provided that this approach might not be the right approach, because the taking compensation from that police personnel, okay, putting the monetary compensation will not be a right thing. First of all, you need to equip them with the necessary infrastructure. Is it clear or not? So therefore the right approach would be to initiate disciplinary action against the errant officer. Okay, this was something that was being said. You conduct the inquiry rather than asking them for the payment of compensation. So this is this entire article, and now we'll move to the next article. Indian aviation needs a strong and the steady tailwind. So, guys, this particular article talks about the reforms into the Indian aviation industry, and therefore it will be important in GS paper number 3 in the topic of infrastructure. In the topic of infrastructure. Now, so let's see what this particular article is talking about. So this article talks about the needed reforms in the aviation sector. So basically today we see that actually Indian aviation sector is not performing very much well. Actually it is not a story in the present year, but from past so many of the years Indian aviation has been called as the sick man of India. What are the problems of an aviation industry? First of all, so problems of aviation industry are: number one, very high regulations. Fine, there is a DGCA, okay, and many other agencies are there. Tough entry barrier means that if a person, if a if an entity wants to start their airline business, there is a lot of conditions that you need to have this much fleet size, you need to have these many of the aircrafts, okay, you need to have this much of experience and all these things. So entry barrier are very much tough, so the competition is very much less here. Fine, then the high fuel prices. Why high fuel prices? Number one, because of the global prices are high, and secondly, guys, the taxes onto the ATF, that is the aviation turbine fuel. Aviation turbine fuel is used in aircrafts, so the taxes onto the ATF are very much high. Then the inefficient public sector airports. So public sector airports, they don't have capacity, and a basic example I'll give you, they don't even have infrastructure capacity. Because they don't have sufficient number of runways, what happens, before landing an aircraft has to hover over the airport for 10-15 minutes in the usual circumstances. Now that extra hovering will consume a lot of fuel, it will make the flights expensive. Then over the years, government's reforms in this particular sector has been just the knee jerk reactions. They have not thought of some sustainable, long lasting kind of a solutions. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that first of all, let's see what is the size of the aviation market in India. So Indians who buy air ticket in an year, there is number is around 140 million. Around 35 to 40 million are the frequent flyers, and these are the people who are buying bulk of the aircraft flights. So actually around 4% of the Indian population can afford the air travel. Around 4% of people can actually afford the air travel. Now this particular number is very much less than the developed countries, and even it is less than the countries such as the Brazil, Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. So therefore there are the need of the reforms. Now what is the need, what is the line of reforms that is there? So guys, first of all, as India is focusing on to the startups, okay, we need to focus on to the aviation sector. Aviation sector is very much important and integral to the economic growth. See, air, airports, air travel, fine. First of all, it will provide the mobility to the passenger movement. Man hours will be saved when the people will be traveling from the airs. It will also connect the car. It will make the cargo handling also very much sufficient. Fine. It gives the boost to the tourism. It generates a lot of jobs. Okay, it is one of the biggest employment generator into the even into the unorganized sector. Now government had come out with the schemes such as the Udan. Under the Udan initiative, the connectivity, regional connectivity is being emphasized. Under the Udan initiative, regional airports will be developed, regional flight connectivity will be emphasized. But guys, this particular scheme has not been very much successful. Now it has been said that not only the passenger component, but the cargo component of the aircraft is also needed to be taken care of. See, in Udan, only the passenger component is being focused. Not only passenger, cargo component is also very much important. You need to connect the air cargo with the road, rail, okay, port infrastructure, waterways infrastructure, okay. Basically, aviation taxes, fuel taxes, airport charges, they need to be reduced. Further guys, see, basically if we talk about the scenario into the aviation sector, right now there are thousands of the pilots, technicians who are employed, okay, but still the airlines, they are looking for the foreign pilots, foreign engineers, okay. So basically the employers and the employees, their bridge also needs to be reduced. Employer and employees, they need to be connected by some government platform, by some government initiative. Fine. And finally guys, the acts, old acts, colonial time acts, which are governing the airports, aircrafts, they are also to be amended. For example, India's Aircraft Act 1934 is there, and Aircraft Rules of 1937 is there, which regulate the aviation industry. Now they are so much old, okay, nearly 90 years old, fine, so they need to be amended. So it has been provided that guys, today around 4% of the people are using the aviation. We need to increase this particular number to at least 50% into the next 2 decades. And how it will be done? Government needs to come out with a policy on this particular front. So that is all about this particular article. And now we'll move to the next article. The way to control tuberculosis. Okay, so this article will use in GS paper number 2, social justice, health. Social justice, within the social justice, the health sector will use it. So basically guys, when we talk about the tuberculosis has been a tuberculosis happens to be a communicable diseases. Tuberculosis burden is huge onto the world. And today when we talk about the India is the TB capital of the world. Why? Just see the number. Every day 1400 people die because of the tuberculosis. Way more than the COVID-19, way more than anything. TB is killing the people around the world, okay. And in India 1400 people are dying every day. Now when we talk about the tuberculosis, in 1950s and 60s, India was a global leader in the research, in the epidemiology, in controlling the transmission in the tuberculosis. And on our success, we even developed the National TB Control Program of 1962. But actually, because of the bureaucratic logjam, because not proper implementation was there, National TB Control Program got failed. It was not able to control the TB's transmission. So therefore, what happened? The WHO started lecturing India, and WHO asked India that India should install the revised National TB Control Program. Now this revised National TB Control Program was the brainchild of WHO. This is that we are actually implementing right now in the India. So this revised National TB Control Program is going on. Now this particular article suggests that this RNTCP, revised National TB Control Program, it has certain problems. It needs to be addressed. Now it says that first of all, this particular program is funded by the government of India, but there is no method of monitoring the trajectory of TB control. Whether the cases are going up, whether the cases are going down, what is the pattern? There is no method to monitor the TB cases. And until we cannot monitor, obviously we cannot know where the growth, where at which particular side the development is. Now the example has been given in the AIDS control. So guys, the ICMR for the AIDS, they came out with the Sentinel survey. Now what is the Sentinel survey? By that they actually tracked the trajectory of the AIDS. Fine. And this particular thing was very much fruitful. So we need to learn from the AIDS controls Sentinel program, and we need to bring some kind of we need to come out with some kind of a trajectory monitoring method even into the TB. Then the next thing that has been provided is that, see, WHO provides this thing that you need to just treat the TB patients. They focus on to the treating. But this article says that, see, treating will not only be successful thing. Why? Because in India, there are large number of adult people who are carrying the TB in inactive form into the dormant form in their lungs. Okay. So basically many people, they have the dormant TB. That TB is not manifesting in their lungs, but this particular TB can become activated at any time. Many reasons are there. Diabetes, increasing pollution, alcoholism, they can reactivate your TB. Okay, so treating them is not only the thing. Transmission from people to people also needs to be controlled. The dormant TB patients, they will not depict any symbol, but they might transmit it to other people. So controlling transmission is important rather than just treating. Then the next is that actually this revised National TB Control Program has failed to take the people's partnership in consideration. People's partnership has not been taken. NGOs, civil societies are not being involved. Now guys, when we talk about the AIDS control program, and by the way, I tell you, India's AIDS control program is one of the successful health interventions that had happened. So in this AIDS control program, Fine. Red ribbon clubs are established into the schools, colleges. These red ribbon clubs, they are basically sensitizing the people, they are educating the people. Okay. The taboo that is associated with the AIDS, it is getting reduced because of the participation of the people that has been taken. For TB, such kind of thing is not there. Fine. Then next, guys, the thing that is there now, see, this is an important concept that we are going to discuss. See, basically, when we talk about certain health diseases, certain problem, we say that sometimes there are certain social determinants that are there, and these social determinants actually lead to certain diseases. For example, some diseases are there because proper housing is not there, proper sanitation is not there. If you provide proper housing, proper sanitation, the diseases will come down. Now the communicable diseases, particularly when we talk about, for example, when we are talking about the TB spreads by transmission. You give proper hygiene, okay, you maintain social distancing, the TB's reduction will be there. So by social determinants, by providing better housing, better nutrition, better education, certain disease can be reduced. It is called as the secular trend. Now the secular trend is needed to be brought under control, that is one thing. But at the same time, we also needed to track and treat. Okay, we also needed to see the root cause, that is also something that is there. Article suggests that we need a trained state and district TB officials who have been given a responsibility and an accountability, that they need to identify the people suffering with the TB. They are needed to be given the TB treatment. So there is the DOTS therapy that is given to the people suffering with the TB. So the DOTS therapy should be given to people. It needs to make sure that they are completing their medication also. Okay, secular trends. Okay, how they can be followed, how all these particular things can be implemented. This should be the responsibility of the state and the district TB officials. So this is something which is suggested in this article. That is all, and now we'll move to the next article. Now, helping Sri Lanka more meaningfully. So guys, this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, the India's neighborhood first policies. India's neighborhood first policy. Now, before, guys, going in this article, you know already, even we have discussed in our newspaper analysis, that right now the Sri Lanka is facing the economic crisis, and under this economic crisis, Sri Lanka has approached the IMF, that IMF should help them because the balance of payment crisis is going on. Okay, this thing we have already discussed many number of times, the Sri Lankan economic crisis. So it now, this particular article says this thing, that in this times of crisis, India need to help Sri Lanka. We need to help them because the Sri Lanka, it is facing that the peoples have lost their incomes, there is the food insecurity that is prevailing. Now India needs to be a responsible partner. In this capacity, first of all, already India has promised the assistance of around $3.5 billion to Sri Lanka. Now this particular thing can be used as an example that how India always follows a responsible neighborhood first policy. Now it has been provided that, see, at the same time, though India is providing the money, but the questions about the transparency and impartiality of the government has come up. It is being said that even into the Sri Lanka, when the Sri Lankan government is providing to the relief to the people, it is playing a partisan role. It is that process is not transparency. Even in this particular times of crisis, there are a lot of issues that are going on. So therefore, now it is being said that something more is to be done for the Sri Lanka. It has been said that first of all, Indian government as well as Tamil Nadu government can explore that how different level at different level the support can be given. It is being said that, see, in India we are running the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, where 100 days of guaranteed employment is to be provided to the people in rural areas. It is a scheme by which the poverty is being elevated, it is being reduced. So it is being said that India can also implement such kind of an MG Narega even into the Sri Lanka, so that the people get the employment. Fine, they get the incomes. The next thing that is being provided, that, see, the social safety nets, social security nets into the Sri Lanka are either very much inadequate or they are very much ineffective. Even to till today, the functional public distribution system is not there. In India, we have a very good public distribution system where the fair price shops are there and people are getting subsidized foods from these ration shops, fair price shops. So public distribution system is very good in India. India can teach this to the Sri Lanka also. Fine. So work guarantee scheme. okay, social security net, okay, could be there. Now guys, under this work guarantee scheme, the people could be given the work in the agriculture sector, they could be given the work into the care sector, okay, the people could be given certain guaranteed internships, providing some money, okay. And for this particular thing, the help from the corporate social responsibilities could be taken up. Moreover, guys, it is also being provided that right now around 50 lakh people or 20% of Sri Lanka's people, they are at the highest risks. Okay. Now, because even the Sri Lanka's currency is not doing very good, what we can do? We can exchange, we can swap the currency. Currency exchanges could be there. We can take certain Lankan rupee and can provide the Indian rupee to the Sri Lanka so that it could be used for export of some essential commodities and all such kind of things. Moreover, the NGOs can also play a very important role. NGO can help the assistance at the ground. Okay. Moreover, it is also being provided that actually the Sri Lanka, it is also facing the food crisis because the agriculture there had got failed because Sri Lanka came out with the policy that they will only be growing the organic vegetables, organic agriculture. Now we need to provide the intervention to the Sri Lanka as how their domestic food production can be increased. In this particular capacity, the Sri Lanka earlier imposed ban onto the chemical fertilizers or all these kind of things. Now we need to again resume the agriculture into the Sri Lanka. Now this particular article says that, see, around $3.5 billion we have already promised, and even more we are willing to give. So in this particular capacity, again the Tamil Nadu and Indian government need to come together, relief is to be provided. Moreover, basically the housing program needs also to be initiated onto the humanitarian ground into the Sri Lanka. So these are the ways by which India can more meaningfully help to the Sri Lanka and can help in taming this crisis. This is not only the strategic and political responsibility, but it is also a ethical responsibility of India, that India need to help Sri Lanka because of their neighborhood first policies that we always have. That is all about this particular article, guys, and now we'll move to the next article. More time to respond to center's policy on disabled. Now guys, basically GS paper number 2, vulnerable section of society, and within the vulnerable section the disabled people are there. So basically this article, first of all, it doesn't contain much of the thing. What has happened recently, there is a draft for the disabled people's welfare that has been suggested. Fine, it has been provided. Dekho, basically Department of Empowerment of Persons with the Disability, they want this particular thing, that actually the disabilities, the definition of it should be expanded. The health ministry has suggested that the disability from traditional causes are there, but we also need to recognize the disabilities from other causes. For example, malnourishment. Now some person, because of not proper nutrition was given into the childhood, became malnourished, and from that malnourished he became disabled. Some people become disabled because of the medical negligence. So basically the draft rules on to the disability, they suggest that there needs to be an expansion of the definition of disability. They also suggest that actually the vehicles for the disabled people, they need to be much more accessible. Okay, two-wheelers need to be accessible, public transport, particularly the buses, needed to be accessible to the disabled people. So what the issue is that the center is forming the policy for the disabled people, for their welfare and all these kind of things. Now there was the time that was given to the people that, okay, this is the policy that we has come out with, you give your suggestions, you suggest, you give feedback. Now this time is being extended. Okay, now guys, understand this particular thing. This is the draft policy. Now the draft policy is not the final version. Okay, so by the time its final version will come and it will get passed, there will be the many of the changes that will going to be there. So you don't need to go in too much of the detail that what is the present issue, because by the time final rules will be passed, there will be many changes that are going to come. So this is just a kind of a evolutionary thing that is there, and if it gets finalized, we'll see this particular article in detail when it will happen. Till then, much importance is not there. So that is all guys about the today's newspaper, and I hope that you have understood the articles along with their background as well as the way forward. So that is all for today, and if in case you are liking the videos, please show your love by liking the video, leave your comment as usually you do. That is very encouraging. Please keep on commenting, that is very crucial to us. Thank you everyone, take care of yourselves. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care. Thank you so much once again.